Today I have this PlayStation 2. It doesn't want to display anything on a TV. Check it out here. You see when I press the power button, turn it on, it does nothing on the screen. I've tried other cables, they didn't work. I'm gonna try a trick I've seen before and hope that that helps it out. But the first thing we need to do is get it apart. Now I've already taken this apart once because I wanted to see the inside of it. So this will be a pretty simple teardown. I've shown this before on other videos. I'll leave a link up above for a video where I've taken the bottom shell off of a PlayStation 2 to fix something else. That'll help you. Here is the main board of the PS2. I'm going to focus on this area today. It's where I've seen if it has a display issue, it might be caused by something along this line, these little resistors that go from the emotion chip to the graphics synthesizer. So let's get that under the microscope and see what we can do. Around the emotion engine chip is what you want to look at. All right. Now you can see the screen, and what we're going to get is 75. So this row should all be 75. And it is. And is okay. Now we'll move over to this side of the board. And it looks like we have something going on here. Flux or something. So someone's possibly tried this trick already. So this one gives me nothing. Doesn't give me something. No. 45. 47, that's good, okay. 48. Nothing. Let's clean it up a little bit. Oh, IPA. Get that flip off of there. I'm getting nothing on this. Yeah, is it even giving me like a massive reading? Okay, I'm getting a much larger reading than I should get. That's the issue. Okay, getting that reading there, that reading there. So the top two are giving me a much higher reading than they should. Yeah. That one's good. That one's not good. That one's not good. And that one's not good. So I mean, these go right to the graphics synthesizer. So it goes from the emotion engine chip right into the graphics synthesizer. So that would make some sense that if these are not giving the proper signal, it would just not display an image. I could run a small resistor. Is this going to be too big? That's going to be an issue because they are very... Yeah, these are going to be way too big. Let's just see if running a wire from one side to the other will help. It can. It's not ideal, but add a little wire from one side to the other. Okay, so I tried a new audio setup and it just caught way too much of the fan noise from my makeshift fume extractor. So the audio in this part's kind of unusable. So I'm just gonna have to do a little voiceover here. Bear with me. So the basic premise of this whole repair is that the resistors here are either blown or somehow just gone bad, where the resistance is way higher than it should be. It should be something around 45, 47 ohms. And you could see on my multimeter, I was getting somewhere in the realm of 14,000 kilo ohms or 14 kilo ohms. I'm not sure how that goes, but so I'm just going to jumper these two sides with a wire. It would be better to use a resistor for sure, or even replace that whole resistor bridge here with a brand new one. But just to do in a pinch, I figured I could run a wire from one side to the other. So with a little solder on the tip and some added flux, a lot of flux, I try and get one edge of the wire down and then just loop it over and bring the other edge. I'm pretty sure this was enameled wire, so I needed to burn off the enamel on it just to get it to stick, but that's not too hard to do with a soldering iron. So I'm using a new soldering station, which is definitely more expensive and more powerful. I think this tip is a much smaller, finer tip, but is able to deliver a lot more heat than my previous soldering station. So it's doing a pretty good job here, and I'm quite happy with it so far. So then I get the first one in, and then just kind of move down the row here, attaching wire after wire so that I can jumper the 5 resistors that were giving me a bad reading. It's not an easy task with the thick soldering iron tip. You're gonna bridge some of these resistors like I did, even with a fine tip, and it's not a big deal because you can easily get that up with the soldering station and some flux. I am trying to remember to use plenty of flux when I do these repairs because I don't know, I'm a little stingy with the flux, I guess, and there's no need to be because it just really helps the solder to flow into place. And it's it's certainly one of the more necessary pieces of equipment you're going to have in your toolbox if you're doing projects and repairs like this. So I highly recommend, if you don't know what flux is, like I did a year ago, get some, use it if you're doing any soldering work at all. It'll make you appreciate it a lot. And you'll wonder why your joints look ugly if you don't use it. So whenever I'm getting the solder to not do a very good job, I just add more flux, as they say, And there you see I get a decent blob of solder on the side. So bridging those resistors is kind of a pain, but like I said, not hard to remove it with the tip. Just clean it here and there and use more solder or use more flux. So the only tip I can give here is just clean your tip free of solder and then bring it back in and hope that the solder kind of wicks itself onto the tip and away from the component you're using. I've definitely learned lots of little tricks in the last year of doing these repairs. I'd never done them before I started this channel, especially not anything like micro soldering, which this is somewhat in the realm of it. I guess, need a microscope to do this. It's very fine points, but I've definitely improved my skills with a little practice a couple times a week over the last year. So I know that if I can do it, nothing can be too daunting for anyone. Here, just clean up the area so I can see better and make sure I don't have any more bridges. But that one side seems like it's still kind of stuck together or still got a bridge, so gotta wick that away. There we go. That looks much better. And I just need 3 more wires in place before I can test this out and see if it works. This little bent conical tip really did a great job in this situation. It doesn't deliver a lot of heat on the very tip of it, but just enough to melt the pads around these resistors. This is a very thin board for being a PlayStation 2, so it's not going to absorb a lot of heat before it can melt the solder. So that's good and helpful. Not sure if that's going to deliver enough on something thicker like a Xbox Series or PlayStation board, but for this work, it does good. And when you use the flat side, the outer side of the tip, it really is delivering a decent amount of heat. So I've been happy with that tip. And once the wire's in place, just grab your tweezers and wiggle it about to fatigue the metal and get it to break off. And those two wires definitely are touching, so I'm going to have to come back in here in a minute and touch that area up just to get them apart, because you don't want the two bridging together. I think it makes a difference. You don't want continuity between any of the lines on the left that aren't supposed to be attached to the right. So coming from the Emotion Engine chip to the graphic synthesizer, you don't want those signals being crossed, which if that wire is touching, that will happen. It's a little like open heart surgery. That makes it kind of fun. Obviously, these stakes aren't nearly as high, but you're messing with very fine pieces. I mean, that wire is very thin. I think either 0.3 millimeters is what I got. So very small components. It's going to be hard to do this without a microscope. I'll admit that. And the bottom one is a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about any other components on the bottom. So, and you just break that piece off as well. They look like they're touching. Let's find out if they're touching. Easy way to do that is put one here, and yeah. That was quite obviously. Let's add a little bit of flux to it. See if we can't do this, and there. That might have done it. All right, not touching. Beautiful. Now let's clean this up so we can test it out, and then we'll see if that actually did anything. Okay, let's go this way, back and forth. Not against, just because we don't want to rip anything. Maybe come in with a Q-tip just because the Q-tip's a little bit more gentle and more alcohol. I mean, more IPA. Alcohol, let's go later. Okay, let's clean up this part. Alright, let's see what we have here. We will, okay, that should be obviously like nothing. Yeah, I want to make sure that they're not touching either, so that's good. This is now 47, 47, 47, not, okay, not touching, not touching. All right, beautiful. Well, I mean, not that beautiful, but beautiful enough. And okay, here we go, guys. Now, TV's on, thing's on. Let's see if we get anything different at all. And it doesn't look like it. If I'm honest, my confidence level on that one was pretty low. Unfortunately, that little trick didn't work for this PlayStation 2, but it might for yours, and if it does, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any tips on what might fix this PlayStation 2's no display issue, let me know down in the comments below as well, because I'm always trying to learn new things. Well, that'll do it for this video. I hope you learned something useful from it, and if you like the video, please hit that like button. And if you're new around here, why not hit that subscribe button that's right here, so you'll be alerted when my next video comes out, and you'll really help support the channel. And if you want to watch me replace the touchscreen in a Nintendo 3DS XL, check out this video. And if you want to see some micro soldering where I replace the HDMI retimer chip in a smoked out Xbox One X, check out this video. Thanks for watching.